Hello, everyone. Good evening. It's such a good pleasure to be here with you all. And thank you so much for your presence here for one more webinar about the TOEFL IBT and sponsored by the ETS. And this time we have a special guest with us, and we're going to have information about the University of Missouri, with Jillian Collins. So today we're going to talk about not only about the TOEFL IBT, but also about the programs that this university offers, and many other information about the institution. So we're going to speak in English today. So that's going to be great because you will have the opportunity to practice your English. So let's go to introductions. Hello, Professor Edson. So everyone is here. So let's go to introductions. I think we are here, and well, let me introduce myself first. I'm the Adrienne Bloom. You already recognize my face. We are here almost every month. Edson and I. So Jillian Collins, I'm the Associate Director of the Educational Testing Service, ETS, institution that administers proficiency tests around the world. I coordinate the TOEFL IBT test in Brazil, and my educational background includes a college degree in English and a master's degree in TESOL from the University of Washington, Seattle. Before I go to Professor Edson and my colleague at ETS, I want to introduce you to Andressa, who is representing the GCUB today. Andressa is the GCUB assistant. She's helping us with, she's been helping us with the webinars, as you already know. So I am asking Professor Edson to introduce himself, and then we will ask Professor Jillian Collins to talk a little bit about herself. But I'm also have a little bit of information here about her that I want to share with you all. Professor Edson, hello.
Hello, Adrienne. Thank you, Jilly, for being here, and thank you, Andressa, as well. Well, I'm a professor here in São Paulo for almost 4 years. Okay, I'm a consultant, okay, and the associate director for ETS, just like Adrienne. Okay, Adrienne is my colleague in Brazil. In Brazil, we are in two. Okay, to solve everything that you need about TOEFL. I have a degree, okay, my background, my studies were all in literature and language, okay, I have a degree in literature and language, a master in translation studies, okay, and I think that's it. Teaching is my life. I want to be a teacher of this life and the other as well, okay, and that's it. Enjoy this workshop a lot, okay. Hopefully, you're going to learn a lot of opportunities of studying outside Brazil, and especially with the University of Missouri. Okay, thank you, Adrienne. Thank you all.
Thank you, Edson. So our special guest, Jillian Collins, serves as the Director of Sponsored Student Programs at the University of Missouri in Columbia. And with nearly a decade of experience working with sponsored students, Jillian brings extensive expertise in program and partnership development to her role. Jillian's educational background includes both undergraduate and master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Missouri. She's currently pursuing a PhD with the University of Missouri, St. Louis. In her current position, She provides supports and guidance to approximately 200 sponsored students hailing from over 40 different countries and manages partnerships with more than 30 sponsoring agencies. Jillian is also involved in national and regional professional organizations and frequently presents on various aspects of sponsored student program administration and development. Jillian has also held leadership positions with NAFSA, a prominent national professional organization. Jillian, thank you so much for being here with us.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This is a really exciting opportunity for both me and the University of Missouri as a whole. So I really appreciate the invitation and look forward to speaking with you and your guests this afternoon.
Great. Thank you. So let's start this collaboration and bring information, relevant information, study abroad relevant information for our attendees. Edson and I will start giving you an overview of the TOEFL IBT. We're going to talk a little bit about format and language skills assessed on the test. And then Jillian will come to talk about the University of Missouri. And at the end, we will dedicate the 15 minutes for questions, okay? So, all right, so what is the TOEFL IBT test? I know that many of you who are here today, professors, students, and program coordinators, already know about the TOEFL IBT test, but there are many of you who just started a new academic year. This start is a freshman, so it's important for us to always remind everyone what is the TOEFL IBT. So the TOEFL IBT is the world's premier in English language proficiency test for university study, work, and immigration. An academic English test that uses integrated questions to measure all 4 language skills, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So more than 12,000 institutions in over 160 countries accept TOEFL scores. ETS encourages schools and other institutions to carefully set their own score standards based on their particular needs. And there is no passing or fail TOEFL score. Individuals, higher education institutions, and organizations set their own score requirements. So TOEFL scores set by ETS are valid for 2 years after the test, and there is no limit to the number of time that you can take the test. The TOEFL IBT, you can take it at the test centers and from home, okay, with the TOEFL Home Edition. So why do you choose the TOEFL IBT? Why take this decision of taking the TOEFL IBT? First, because you are noticed. When you take the TOEFL IBT, you are noticed by those people who work with admissions application, with the applications. The TOEFL IBT gives you the opportunity to get to stand out and show that you are confident, that you have the confidence to start to study in English academic environment. Number 2 is that when you take the TOEFL IBT, you can get into your first or second choice university, according to a study that over 90% of the test takers surveyed got into their first or second choice university. And also number 3, get a head start over your peers. When you arrive on campus, better prepared, you're better prepared for your campus life, because we understand that all the content that you will study, you will practice for the TOEFL IBT, you will be, it's the content that you will find in the classroom in an English environment. Also, the TOEFL IBT is accepted, like I mentioned before, by more than 12,000 institutions in more than 160 countries all over the world. So TOEFL IBT is not accepted only at the American universities, US universities. You can take the test and be accepted in universities all over the world. TOEFL IBT format. So we have good news for you. Nowadays, you can take the test in 3 hours. You take the test in 3 hours. After July 26th, you're gonna take the test, and it's gonna you're gonna take less than 2 hours to take the TOEFL IBT. These are part of the new enhancements provided by the ETS team, TOEFL team, that are providing new improvements on the test. And one of the biggest one, and the more important, and is that now you will spend less than 2 hours on the TOEFL IBT, taking the TOEFL IBT. And those changes will start after July 26. So I'm taking a look at the time, and I know that we have more time. So what I'm gonna do now, we're gonna talk about the language skills assessed on the TOEFL IBT, and those language skills are divided by reading, listening, speaking, and writing. And I will ask Professor Canella to help me with the reading and the listening section, and then I will do the other two, and then we'll finish so Jillian can start with her subject. Professor Canella, please, can you help us with the reading section? Thank you. You were moved, yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm in the mood. Okay, it happens all the time. Thank you, Jenny, for letting me know. Well, the reading section, okay, is the first one when you're going to take the test. Either you are in a test center or at home, this is going to be the first one, okay? Just a reminder that when you arrive at a test center, okay, you have some observations, okay, some checks to do, and at home as well, okay? In a test center, they are going to take your voice, they are going to record your voice, a voice test, and then they are going to take your photo, check your documentation. This is going to take around 10 minutes, okay, there with them. Be very careful when you register for the test with your birth date. Remember, it's a month, then the day, and then the year, okay? Don't make them, don't put the number, the day before the month, just like we do in Portuguese. I tell you that because I directed a test center for more than a decade, and this was a very common mistake that we took there. Well, at the first section, you were going to take the reading section. It's going to assess, okay, how well you can read and understand what you read, okay? And remember, this is totally academic environment. The texts are taken from books that will be used in the university. Okay, Gianni, were you to say something?
No, it's just you were frozen for a little bit, and I was You can continue.
Okay. It's gonna happen because I'm inside the university where I work, and I'm using my own internet. Okay, I prefer. And then when we started, this is 3 to 4 reading passages, but this is the old version. Remember, not the old version. Okay, the current version. Remember that we are gonna have a more updated version as from July 20th, okay? You're gonna take much less time. Approximately in these passages, we're gonna have 700 words each and 10 questions each, okay? Glossary is also available for those words that the test itself thinks it's a highly advanced words. And I have to tell you that some of them are from Latin and Greek. And this helps us a lot because we have a language that comes from Latin, okay? I think that's enough, Diana, if you wanted to add something else.
We can go to the next.
Yes, that is the listening, okay? Yeah, the listen section. This one I'm gonna call your attention and very closely. Take notes. Taking notes in the listening section is extremely important, okay? When you enter the test room, okay, at your laptop, you're gonna have 3 sheets of paper for you to write, okay? Use them, okay? Take notes, but don't try to do like an stenographer, okay, taking all the information. Go just to the very, very use of information that you're gonna use in your answers, okay? This listening section will measure your ability to understand conversations and lectures in an English environment. Remember, it's an academic test, so you're gonna listen for basic comprehension, for pragmatic understanding, okay? And also, when they are speaking, you can feel their degree of certainty and attitude through their speaking, and this will tell you a lot if the person is hesitating, if the person is certain. Some types of questions will demanding from you this knowledge from what you heard. They structure 2 to 3 to 4 lectures, okay, with some academic classroom, and 2 to 3 conversations with the 2 speakers. This is the current, okay, test. As from July 26th, okay, it will be shorter. I'm not telling you that it will be easier. It will be shorter. The test itself continues with the same quality, okay? Conversations and lectures use campus-based language, okay? So whenever you take notes with this in the listening section, you're gonna have a material for you after reading the questions, okay, brings to your mind what they said. Take notes of numbers, dates, names, okay, names of people, okay. You can make charts if it's female, male, if it's the teacher, the student, and take only the most important words, let's say, that will help you to answer the questions. Again, if you have something to add, okay. If no, okay, I'm gonna give the word to you so that you can tell them about speaking and writing. Remember that the writing is the one that we are gonna have the greatest change, okay? Thank you, Gianni.
Thank you, Edson. Yes, just one information about the listening section is that lesson section is not gonna change after July 26. It's gonna be the same. The structure will be the same. The number of questions will be the same. There is no change on the listening section. No change on the speaking section either. So speaking sessions will continue with 4 tasks based on academic topics and campus situation. So The speaking section will measure your ability to speak English effectively in academic settings. You are not going to have one person interviewing you, asking questions, because the TOEFL IBT is an internet-based test. You will answer the question on a headset, and you will see the questions on the computer, on the screen. So, either at the testing center or at home, when you're taking the home edition, it's gonna be the same, okay? The only difference is that when you're taking from home, you cannot use the headset, so you don't cover your ears, okay? You need to use the equipment from your computer, the earphone, and the camera, and the equipments that come on your computer, or plug it on your computer. For these 4 tasks, you are going to answer 1 independent task and 3 integrated tasks, okay? Time to answer and to prepare, it goes from 15 to 30 seconds to prepare, and 45 to 60 seconds to respond to the questions, okay? So your responses will be captured by the computer and sent to ETS for scoring. So you will receive your answer 6 days after you take the test. And for the writing section, this one is the last task, the last question that you answer on the TOEFL IBT. And this one will have some improvements, some changes, okay? There are 2 tasks in these writing sections, and the changes that the independent will be substituted by the academic, writing from an academic discussion, okay? Can you see here, the independent, you will take 30 minutes to answer it, to write, and for you to write this essay. After July 26, okay, you will write a concise and modern writing from an academic discussions, and that task, it will require you to finish in 10 minutes, okay? So those are the changes on the writing sections, which measures your ability to write in English in an academic settings. I'm gonna go quicker here because I'm just looking at the time, and I don't want to get any of the time of Jillian, because I want her to bring as much information as possible about the University of Missouri. So,
Jenny, can I just make an apart? Sorry,
yes,
sorry
please.
to interrupt you, okay? Yes. I just want to part from the listening section, okay? That the changes in the time, okay? It was up to 57 minutes, and now, as from July 26th, they will have a maximum of 36 minutes to answer, okay? Before right now is up to 57 minutes, and after July 26th, it will be until 36 minutes, okay? Thank you.
On the listening section, so is the time. So
yes, it's the time, the changes on the time.
On the time, thank you so much, Edson. Yeah, and the additional test format, we will have a modernized instructions and navigation on the test, okay, and that's starting July 26. For example, it will be quicker for you to navigate on the test. Some pages will be deleted, and some instructions will be deleted in order to optimize the test, in order to get it shorter. And the removal of all unscored test questions, this is something very, very important to highlight, because currently ETS uses research questions on the test, okay? Tests that are not scored, questions that are not scored on the test, and those questions will be all removed. So that's why the time of the test is being shortened. That's why, not that's why, but that will be, that's complementing the test to be shortened. And also the removal of the 10-minute break. Currently, if you take the test, you will have a 10-minute break. Starting in July 26, that break is not going to exist anymore. Okay, so about test prep, TOEFL IBT prep materials that reflects the enhancement coming July 26 are now available on ets.org, and you can get your you can go to the website on this QR code, and you can get this material. Additionally, you will find 10 questions, 10 writing questions to practice with these new changes. Okay, so I think this is all for today. Thank you so much. And this is our email, and me, Edson and I's contacts if you have any further questions about the TOEFL IBT. And now the floor is all yours, Jillian. Thank you so much. And now we will hear important information about the University of Missouri. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen so Andressa can project her presentation. Thank you.
I wonder if we could go to the first slide.
That's the last slide, Andressa. Let's go to the first.
You're getting a sneak peek of what I have in store for you.
Oh, yeah. There are so
Perfect.
many guests, so many students here. They want a little bit sneak peek.
Oh,
yes.
Yes. Well, there's your sneak peek, and we won't keep it from you any longer. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I know it's past 5 o'clock in Brazil right now, so I appreciate you sharing your time with me to learn about TOEFL, but also about the University of Missouri, also known as Mizzou. So I want to just say a little something about this photo. This is a view of our central campus. As you can see, it is really a fairly large campus, but it's also really green. And that is one of the things that we really love most about it. It's not just a great institution, it's a really beautiful environment to learn in. Next slide, please. So as Adiane graciously introduced me earlier, my name is Jillian Collins. I'm the Director of Sponsored Student Programs with the International Center at Mizzou. I was also an undergraduate student and a master's student at Mizzou, and I really loved my experience there so much that I decided to continue working for them. So I look forward to sharing information with you. So I want to start with a little bit of information about where we are located. Our university is situated in the very center of the state of Missouri. You can see it there, the yellow state there in the middle of the map. And we're in the Midwestern region of the United States. And I like to point out some of the advantages to choosing to study in the Midwestern region. The cost of living, number one, tends to be significantly cheaper than other parts of the United States. The Midwestern region also tends to be safer than other parts of the United States. Columbia, the community that we're located in, is ranked number 6 among US colleges and universities for the best safety resources, and that's according to college stats. It's also really easy to travel during the university break. So you may be aware that there are several breaks throughout the semester, but they're not quite long enough to travel all the way home. And so many of our international students decide to do traveling around the United States during those periods. And when you're in the Midwestern region of the United States and you're wanting to travel, it's a lot easier to travel from the center around rather than from coast to coast. And so our students have really pointed that out to me as a benefit of being in the Midwest and have enjoyed it. I also want to point out that we are known as a college town. So as you'll see here, we don't have a huge population. We're around 126,000 people. And in any other sense, we ordinarily wouldn't be able to attract musicians, politicians, famous speakers to our area. But because of our status as a large comprehensive institution and an AAU school, many of these people decide to come to Columbia and put on performances there or come as speakers. And so you really do kind of have the best of both worlds. There's not a lot of congestion, but you still have access to a lot of great art and music events. So we really like the community for that reason. Another thing I'd like to point out is that the university bumps up right against the downtown area. So it's really easy to finish classes and just venture downtown with friends for lunches or dinners or a night out. So it's really the university kind of blends with the community, and that tends to be a very supportive environment for both students and professionals that are living in that area. One other thing I will point out is that Columbia is really well known for its outdoor community. We have access to several different trails and parks, and we have actually a trailhead that starts just across the street from campus. And so if you enjoy being outside or walking or running or hiking, it's really easy to build that into your day between classes. In fact, that was one of my favorite parts of undergrad. So I would take a break between one of my classes and just pop over to MKT Trail, go for a walk, go for a run, and then come back for my last class of the day. So it's just really nice to get outside and have that access so accessible to you. So Missouri has all 4 seasons, which are fall, winter, spring, and summer. And the temperatures vary from 16 to 31 degrees Celsius in the spring and summer seasons, and between 4 and 14 degrees Celsius in the fall and winter seasons. And I know that many of our students that come from warmer climates are concerned about winter and not knowing whether or not they will like the cold. But I just have to say that the seasons do bring really unique opportunities and activities within that particular time period. So for example, if you really like to snowboard or to ski, there are some places within driving distance that you can go and do those things during the winter time. The fall is just really beautiful. As you can see here, that top picture on the left, all of the trees change colors on campus and it's just really gorgeous. And so the other point I like to make is that usually the seasons are about 3 months long each. And so if you really don't like one season, just know that you've got another one coming and you can really experience the transition of those seasons and temperatures in Missouri. So now I want to transition to sharing a bit more about the institution itself. So the photo in the background here is actually one of the most iconic photos taken on our campus. So the columns here are really a staple and are at the center of our institution. But I want to point out that Mizzou is the first and oldest institution west of the Mississippi River. It was established in 1839. And again, it has this nickname, Mizzou. It is the flagship institution for the state of Missouri and is home to 30,000 tigers. The MU tiger is our mascot, and they hail from all 50 states in the United States and more than 100 different countries, including Brazil. We host close to 8,000 graduate students studying at the master's and doctoral level, and all of them have really unique reasons for choosing Mizzou for graduate study. It could be cost, it could be the program, it could be the faculty. But a few points that I want to share with you today are that, number one, MU is a Carnegie Classified Research 1 institution, and that is for high research productivity. We're also one of only 35 public institutions who are members of the Association of American Universities. And for those of you that are unfamiliar with the AAU, it is an invitation-only association in the US that's comprised of 62 of the top PhD granting institutions. AAU institutions, for example, account for 60% of federal research dollars awarded to US universities, and 36% of international students choose to study at AAU schools. So there's definitely a reason for that, and I encourage you to look up more information about the AAU. And that leads to another reason why some students decide to choose Mizzou, and that is because MU itself accounts for 70% of the research dollars flowing to Missouri public universities. On average, we're spending around $432 million on annual research. Because of our status as a Carnegie Research 1 school and our membership as an AAU institution, we do have a lot of research opportunities and do dedicate a lot of resources to ensure that we're continuing that productivity. So I want to give you an idea of what our campus looks like. I also want to point out here that the link at the top, you can actually click on that, or you can put that in your web browser and do a virtual campus tour if you'd like. But this kind of demonstrates the vastness of the campus. It even continues to extend beyond the boundaries that are shown here on the screen. But you'll notice, as I mentioned earlier, that downtown and campus really come together, and that kind of leads to a supportive community that lives and thrives to support the student population for everyone that's chosen to study at Mizzou and to live in Columbia and work at the institution. And I know that when I was looking at undergraduate study, a campus this large for me, I came from a small town, was pretty intimidating, actually. So when they would come and share information about the campus and show me photos like this, I was a little taken aback, because I was like, I don't know if this will be a good fit for me. But what I learned in my first couple of semesters is that campus can be as big or as small as you'd like it to be. For me, I had all of my classes in 1 to 2 different buildings on campus. And so it was easy for me to plan and navigate and create a routine off the bat. But on days that I just needed to study and I didn't have classes, I could really choose anywhere to study on campus. And by far my favorite during the spring and summer months was always the quad area, which is where you saw earlier that has the columns in the center of campus. So Mizzou is known for many different things, but as such a large institution, it's really important to keep in mind what your priorities are. And we, the University of Missouri, likes to keep these 5 at the forefront of all that we do. Number 1 is hands-on learning, and we'll talk a bit more about that later, but hands-on learning is something that's embedded into most of the major curriculums on campus. The second is big picture thinking. So you'll also notice embedded into the majority of the course curriculums is thinking at a macro level. How will we prepare students to think about the big pictures? And in what ways can we consider the micro here and now in Columbia, Missouri, and broaden its applicability on a larger scale? For example, in the bottom of this slide, you'll see a photo. And this is actually a robot. His name is Spot. And he's a robot dog that engineering students work on as part of their degree program. Right now, students and faculty in computer science are working to determine ways that they can use Spot and military operations, for example, or as part of crisis response and supporting in that way. So that's just one example of how the big picture comes into play. But it's definitely something that we want our students to be thinking about and want them to leave the university with those skills. The third is global impact. So at the core of the institution is how our work makes a global impact. This is demonstrated in programs such as service learning and study abroad, as well as through the research that we do. And then lastly, future-ready careers. So we acknowledge that industries are always changing as we evolve as a society. And our goal is to know what's coming, have an idea of it, and train our students in ways that will be applicable not only now, but also into the future as industries change and jobs look a little different. So as I mentioned earlier, one of those core ideas was hands-on learning. A fun fact is that the University of Missouri is actually known for being one of the first, if not the first, to focus curriculum on what we call the Missouri method. The state of Missouri's motto is called the Show Me State. So it's not enough to just talk about something, we need to have it shown to us, which is why many of the degree programs you'll see at Mizzou emphasize the real practical learning that is done outside of the classroom. And that includes research and internships. Many degree programs have an internship requirement for graduation. You'll also see that there are flexible study abroad options that can be used and counted towards your degree program. There's also things like research competitions in the Bond Life Science Center, and they bring in scientists from all different parts of campus. So student researchers at the undergraduate level, at the graduate level, as well as faculty who are all doing really interesting research, and they compete and they present their ideas and win awards for that and funding to be able to move some of those ideas forward. We also have opportunities for entrepreneurship. So students are able to compete for grants and money to bring an idea that they have to fruition. And so all of this is to say that we really want to see you do the work that you're doing in the classroom on the outside, because that ultimately is going to train you best for your careers moving forward and set you apart. So I decided to focus this presentation primarily on graduate programs because I believe that's the audience, the interest of the audience that we're speaking to today. But if you do have questions about undergraduate, you're welcome to ask me about that towards the end. But as far as graduate programs go, MU has a total of 144 total on-campus graduate program offerings, and that's 86 at the master's level and 58 at the doctoral level. If you scan the QR code here on the screen, it will direct you to a catered list of all of the on-campus programs. On average, the acceptance rate for graduate programs is around 40%. But one thing I want to make really clear is that it's important to note that admissions at the graduate level works very differently than it does at the undergraduate level. So when you apply for graduate admission, you're not just applying to the graduate school, you're also applying to the specific academic department your major is housed in. And so at Mizzou, those academic departments, we have 8 different schools and colleges that house our degree programs on campus. We also have a graduate school, a school of medicine, a college of vet med, and a school of law. And these are considered professional programs. But this essentially means that your admission is a 2-part process at the graduate level. You first apply to the academic department, and then once you gain admission there, your application is then passed to the graduate school to finalize admission. And so what I'm reviewing with you here is the minimum admission requirements. These are the requirements that are set for all students across the board that apply for graduate study. However, it's important to note that each academic program sets their own admission requirements on top of these minimum admission requirements. And so when you're looking at a particular program, you'll want to go to the graduate school's webpage, if you scan the QR code in the prior slide, if you click on your major there, it will list all of the additional admission requirements that you need to meet for that particular program. But at minimum, our students that apply to Mizzou to be admitted, you need to have earned a qualifying bachelor's degree. You need to have earned the equivalent of a 3.0 grade point average in the last 60 hours of your undergraduate coursework. And then you also need to meet the additional requirements for international applicants. As you can imagine, one of those components is a language proficiency requirement, which is, we're here with TOEFL today. At Mizzou, the minimum TOEFL score is 80 overall, with no part score below a 17. And then you will also need to provide proof of financial support and supplemental information for your immigration documents. So applying is actually a pretty simple process. Once you've gathered all of the information that your program requires for admission, so looking at your academic program, making sure you're aware of their deadline and the eligibility criteria, and any supplemental materials that are required beyond the minimum admission requirements, you will submit all of those to the online application portal. You're required to upload unofficial copies of all transcripts. You do not have to submit official copies until after you are accepted into the degree program. And then after that, you just have to pay the application fee, and then you can track your application status. So you're probably wondering, what does it cost to attend Mizzou? In fact, we are moving to a new tiered tuition model starting this fall, which is very exciting, especially for people like me that work with finances and student accounts and things like that. So we're pretty excited. You can calculate an estimate of what your tuition would be based on your major by going to this link here. It is broken down by semester, but this will give you an idea of what the tuition would be. In addition to tuition, as an international student, you have to demonstrate that you meet, or you have proof of funding that meets our international student estimated expenses. Once you demonstrate that, that's when we're able to issue your I-20 or DS 2019. And you can find that information on our webpage. This is a hyperlink. So if TOEFL ends up sending this out to the participants, you can actually click this and it'll take you directly to the page. But the estimated cost of attendance for 2023 and 2024 is around $54,264. And that includes living expenses, tuition and fees, and insurance. Now, I figured your next question would be, what type of scholarships can I get and what does funding look like? So by far, the most common form of support at the graduate level is graduate assistantships. This is something that you indicate in your online application. There's actually a very simple question that asks you, are you interested in receiving a graduate assistantship position? You want to check that box, yes, and then complete the rest of your application. If you are admitted, the department will usually notify you if you've received a graduate, a research position or a teaching assistantship position. If you are awarded that position, it usually comes with a work component of about 20 hours per week. But it also comes with a full waiver of in-state and non-resident tuition. It also comes with an insurance subsidy and a living stipend. So when I went to school, I applied for an assistantship, and this is how I got through graduate school. Because for me, that amount in tuition was very expensive. And so these assistantships are really what allows students to come and study at the institution. So it's really important to be aware of that when you're applying and when you're submitting your application, because it is very easy to miss that question. But be sure to convey your interest in your statements of purpose. Be clear on your research interests, because typically that's what the faculty are going to look at when they're looking at assistantship positions for incoming students. The second form is fellowship. And the amount for fellowships really vary by the type of fellowship that you receive. These are merit-based and sometimes need-based, but they're not something that you can apply for. To receive a fellowship, you have to be nominated by the department. So, and this is usually by the faculty committee that's reviewing your application. So if you mention something in your application about needing financial support, the department can then nominate you for a fellowship. Sometimes the fellowships include a work component and sometimes they do not. But again, the amount of support that's provided as part of fellowships does vary. And then the last piece is on-campus employment. So as F1 or J1 international students, you do have the benefit of working and gaining employment authorization while you're in the United States. This is a really great thing for many reasons. It allows you to develop skills in a whole different area outside of academics, and also allows you to develop a network casually, perhaps with people you ordinarily would not have, and also helps with your language skills. So once you've come to campus and you've obtained your employment authorization, international students can work on campus for 20 hours per week during the fall and spring, or up to 40 hours a week during the summer semester. And we also have a campus employment portal where Mizzou students can log on to there and look at all of the different on-campus employment opportunities. So as we kind of come to a close here, I want to talk about some of the support resources that are available. You're essentially considering traveling around the world to pursue study, but you also need to know that the world is here at home, or you're home away from home. Mizzou is home to more than 2,000 international students and scholars, and they represent over 100 different countries. Through this, you have the opportunity to connect with both other students from Brazil, but also other students from a wide variety of different countries around the world. And you are able to engage with them in ways that perhaps you wouldn't be able to back home. There are countless cultural organizations that you can get involved in and really foster those relationships. So support is something that is really big, and it was big for me too when I was an undergraduate and graduate study. If we think about it, there are many people and different organizations that have helped us get to where we are even today. And at MU, I feel that they really acknowledge the independence in your decision making, but also respect that at some times we need a little help along the way. And so there are many different resources at MU to help students succeed. I, in fact, have used many of these resources during my studies and have found them to be invaluable. So for instance, you have specialized advisors on campus to support you. You have a dedicated international student advisor that's housed in the International Center. And so any questions you have about immigration or regulatory requirements, this is the person that's able to help you with those questions. You also have a dedicated advisor for academics. So this is the contact in your academic department who will assist you through course registration and help ensure that you're making adequate progress towards your degree completion. For students that come and need additional support for language training or writing, we have the Center for English Language Learning and the Student Learning Center. CEL provides a wide variety of intensive English support, and the Learning Center was really my go-to for writing support. You can imagine you write a lot of papers at the graduate level, and they have dedicated personnel there to help you through your writing process. Career centers, we also have several different career centers across campus. Some are designated within the academic department, and some of them are just designated to the institution as a whole. And these centers are there to help you identify job opportunities and internships during and after your program. And then we also have resources that are focused on your well-being. This includes the Student Health and Wellbeing Center, as well as Campus Safety, the Disability Center, and IDE resources as well. So all of these supports and more are available to you without cost. It's included in the tuition, and they're intended to help you succeed in your academic program. So again, it is our goal to see you succeed, and this is why we have over 11,000 recruiters visit campus each year. And is also why we boast a 95% positive career outcome rate. So these are some of the reasons why I love Mizzou. I hope that you found the information that I've shared today helpful. And I just have one last slide. So again, I want to thank you for your time and attention. I hope that you will take a few moments to scan the QR code on the screen here and share your contact information with us so that we can know who attended today. I can't see any of your faces, but this will also allow us to follow up with you after today's webinar. And with that, I will open the floor for questions.
Hi, Jillian. Thank you very much for so much informative presentation, so many good points, important and relevant points you brought to the GCUB members and all of us, not only the GCUB members, but all of us. I would say that you answered all the questions because you brought all the minimal, right, Edson? She brought all the minimal details. She was very, very specific on every single details that an international student wants to know about a university abroad. Thank you very much. But we do have questions.
Okay, wonderful.
She was precise.
Yes.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yes,
chirurgically precise.
Yes. We know that we are almost running out of the time, but we will dedicate the few next minutes for the questions that we have here, especially the questions for Jillian. For example, there was one teacher. Like I told you that we will have teachers and professor in this webinar, and her name is Silvia Melegari. She asked the question about faculty positions, but there were faculty opportunities. But that was one of the questions that you answered in, I think it was in one of your last slides about teaching assistantships. right? You talked about teaching assistantships, and I think she already has the answer, Sylvia. And Jillian, like I said in the beginning, I was an international student at the University of Washington, and I was a TA. I applied for a Portuguese teaching assistantship.
Yes.
And I was so grateful for these programs because I was able to teach Portuguese. I was able to talk about the culture of my country, and I had my full tuition waive.
Yeah. It makes a big difference, doesn't
Yes.
it? Yeah, it makes it affordable.
Exactly. I saw that you brought a list of very good opportunities, not only for students, but also for students who get there and they are teachers, right? Professors.
That's
Thank
right.
you. And there is another one from Isabelle, and then I will ask Edson to ask the next question. But this one from Isabelle, Viana, she's asking, what are the main qualities and skills that international students should have to be accepted into a program at your university, at the MISU?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And I think a lot of students understandably have that same question because they're like, how do I set myself apart? What are they looking for and how can I cater to that? Most institutions, Mizzou included, will kind of review on a holistic basis, and we're seeing more institutions move to that model as well. Of course, you'll still have some of the STEM degree fields that will have hard requirements for exams like GRE and GMAT. But a lot of departments are looking at applications holistically. They're looking at your academic background. So what you studied in undergrad, and does it match what you're wanting to study at the graduate level? What is your research experience, and what are you wanting to research at the master's or doctoral level? And what are your goals? They want to know, will this degree essentially help you reach the goals that you state you have professionally? I know that that's something that a lot of faculty are looking at. And so being able to make that match, because you look at an institution with a student, it's about making a good match. It's like a relationship, right? You're going to be there for 2 years or more. And so they want to know that you're a good match for the faculty, you're a good match for the institution. And that's kind of how they determine that, is through those 3 areas.
Okay, very good.
Thank you, Jillian. Edson, do you have a question for her?
Yes. Johan Galindo, he asked, this is not for you, Jilly.
That's okay.
About the TOEFL IBT, can you please repeat the order of the test? Of course, Johan, the current test, okay, today we have first of all, you're going to be checked, okay, either at home or in a test center. Then you have the reading. After the reading, the listening. Current version, you have a 10-minute break, okay? And then after that, you are going to have the listening, the speaking with 70 minutes, and then the writing, 50 minutes, okay, 50 minutes. Then as from July 26th, it's gonna be reading, okay, listening, okay, no more break time, okay. Let me tell you that that reading and speaking are shorter, much shorter, then no break time. Then you have the speaking, 16 minutes, and the last one, the writing, okay, a shorter writing. So today it's going to take you the current version up to 3 hours, and then as from July 26th, less than 2 hours, okay? So reading, listening, speaking, and writing. This is the order of TOEFL IBT test, okay? Adriane? Adiane?
Professor, you're mute.
Yes, you're mute.
I'm so sorry.
It happens.
There is one comment about a student, Isabella Viana. She said, "What a beautiful campus."
Yes, it is.
Thank
Definitely.
you, Isabella. We think so too.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I want to go back to
Yes.
school. I want to go back to graduate school at Mizzou.
Well, you're always welcome, Adiani.
So do
Ah,
I. So
yes.
do I.
Wait,
So
Opal might
do
be
I,
a little
Jilly.
upset with us, but yeah.
So do I.
And the attendees, they are saying that the QR code is not working.
On this page?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And let me check with my cell phone if it's a problem with their cell phone or.
Oh,
let
it
me
took
check.
me to the,
Yes, it is working.
but it
Yeah.
actually, there's actually an error message here, so I apologize. Let me,
Oh, yes, yes, there is one message here, yeah.
yeah. Would it be okay if I got a corrected QR code that you could distribute to the attendees? Is that possible?
Yeah,
Okay, so I'll check with Ryan then and get a.
is that possible, Andressa?
Andressa?
Of course, it will be a pleasure to send this to the students and the professors and teachers that are always exciting to have this opportunity. They will be expecting it.
Okay, very
Thank
good.
you, Andressa. Thank
Great,
you.
Andressa. Great.
Thank you for pointing
Well,
that out too.
okay.
Yeah, I think that there is one more question about the TOEFL IBT and about yes. What is I don't have an original Windows. Is this a problem to do the home edition? No, because you can do with other browsers, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, you can use another browsers. I'm not sure which ones you can use besides Windows, but you can always, I will add here to the chat, and Andressa can send to the YouTube the equipments, the equipment necessary for you to take the home edition. I think this is all for questions for us today. And I want to say thank you very much, Jillian, for your time, for this beautiful presentation about the University of Missouri. Thank you for your cooperation today. I think this was a great initiative of the GCUB, the TOEFL, bringing you here to more information. I remind that this is streaming, live streaming on YouTube, and we'll have more people assessing the presentation later on, because right now they are in class, but we have a very good number of views, and for sure they will have opportunity to watch the presentation later. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Ariane and Andressa and Edson. It's such a pleasure to be able to work with you. And I'm just really thrilled to be able to share information about Mizzou and look forward to hopefully working with you again in the future. So.
For sure, for sure. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure, Jillian. Thank you for your precise explanations, okay? And it was really a pleasure to work with you. We will, for sure, yes, Diana, to work with you in the future, hopefully, okay? And thank you a lot for all the viewers, okay, for all the attendees. Andressa, you are always very helpful, and Diana, very good to have you here again, as usual, okay? We too presenting the workshops to GCUB.